Imagine a small bakery settled amongst offices and banks downtown. Through the door of the somewhat hidden bakery, people of all walks of life laugh and socialize over handcrafted baked goods and warm lattes. You're immediately directed where to order when you see the French antique-style chandelier hanging in the center of the room. After you order, you learn that the chandelier doesn't imply prestige like you thought, but actually represents the owners, Mitch and Christine's love story abroad. Mitch then hands you your coffee with delight, and you settle on a plated wooden table on the perimeter of the room. Behind the bar-style counter, you see staff shift and turn as they prepare orders while simultaneously conversing with the regulars. With a little bit of eavesdropping, you learn that one of these regulars' name is Pat. Almost daily, Pat sits at this very counter and converses with staff and customers for hours. The air is filled with such hominess and comfort, you're drawn in deeply, and you feel like you already can't wait to come back. For most, this scene only exists in a Hallmark film, but it's actually an average day at Queen City Bakery, located here in Sioux Falls. You see, tucked in the corners of bustling suburbs and chaotic cities are small, informal gathering places like Queen City that many of us deem insignificant. These places serve the grounds for association, the formation of community, and provide comfort for all. These are third places, defined as the separate social surroundings from one's usual two: work, home, and for myself, school. Cafes, intramural sports leagues, diners, and more are all common examples of third places, and Roy Oldenburg emphasizes how important they are in his book, The Great Good Place. He says, "The third place is what the home is not." Oldenburg provides 8 criteria that give a third place its beauty. The first, being on neutral ground. When the customer walks through the door, their burden leaves their back. They have trust amongst their fellow attendees, and nobody's playing host. The second is a leveler. People of all occupations, status, and state are equally welcome to indulge in the third place's comfort. When talking to Mitch, he said, their mission was to curate a very specific community environment that is welcoming to all. And I do assure you they carry out with that mission. Conversation is the main activity in a third place. Now, don't get me wrong. Christine's pastries, especially the blueberry scone, are divine. However, they're served as a side dish to the ideas, stories, and gossip being shared. The third place has accessibility and accommodation. Customers shouldn't have to be burdened by long travel, odd hours, or a lack of habituation. My personal favorite, though, is the regulars. These people lay the foundation for informal communication and give personality to the space. The 6th and 7th criteria, a low profile and playful mood, imply 2 main objectives. Whether you walk in the door in an orange construction vest or a gray designer suit, you are equal. And with your invitation absolutely comes witty jokes that are probably going to sting a little bit. However, the most important aspect of a third place is that it is truly a home away from home. At Queen City, there's a woman who gets tea in cycles. She's homeless, and she is transient. She lives around Sioux Falls when and where she can, but when she walks into Queen City, she is served like anyone else. Because the customers and staff take care of her, because like her, Queen City is a very close rendition of home. Third places were much more common prior to urban development in World War II. A 5-minute walk would land a young couple in a local pub playing cards with friends, a movie theater without caring what movie was being played, or a cafe discussing their thoughts with wise strangers. Fast forward to the rise of suburban sprawl that yawns for miles, a walk to the third place is almost impossible and very impractical. As a result of this, many of us don't know what a third place is, let alone have one for ourselves. But don't fret. In the absence of a corner cafe, a digital solution requires just one tap. Conversation comes in all forms, pictures, hashtags, DMs, and on top of that, you can reach almost anybody in the world. However, instead of on neutral ground with leveled social dynamics, this relatively new digital third place is largely predatory and disingenuous. It's easier to share photos and ideas, but they're all expected to be blurred and cropped to fit trends and success. Our voice is broadcasted further, but we'll find that we're speaking to those who are already like us, rather than coming to common ground with someone who might challenge us to see things differently. Whether we want to admit it or not, social media has become our third place. Yet the problem is that social media is nothing but an imitation. You can't feel the warmth of morphemes and body language in comment sections or DMs. Third places give us this warmth and provide us with the love of association that draws us back time and time again to the place where we want to feel it most. Social media does not. I'm not asking you to live in the woods or implying that you live in a completely technological society with flying cars and robot toilets that say, "Congrats," when you flush. I'm asking you to live in the nuance of these two scenarios. If you find that your happiness, productivity, and attention are being affected by social media, do something about it. Psychologists have studied the science behind motivation for years, and to this day, they haven't found a divine process that makes someone motivated. Motivation simply comes from starting. I found myself in this position, unmotivated, unhappy that my to-do list was always long and my contentment was short. Now, my life is busy, busy, busy. I go from school to practice to clubs to meetings to work to homework, and then I wake up way too early and do it again. I wouldn't want to change that for the world, though. But I found that I was going to social media for a false sense of social life because I was too tired to do it in person. Turns out, isolating myself doesn't make my problems disappear. They just make them worse. So I stopped going to Snapchat for my face-to-face communication, and I started doing Sunday game nights with my friends. I stopped posting on mass private stories to include strangers into my life, and I shut my like count off on Instagram and allowed myself, listen to this, to post to share rather than post to show. However, the hardest part was deleting TikTok. I learned two things from this. Instagram Reels aren't as good, and the only thing I was missing was the rapid emergence of new trends that were going to be gone in a month. My time was now in my own hands. Now, trust me, I go on social media every day, but I don't depend on it as my main source of entertainment and association. I now have the need, desire, and energy to immerse myself in my free time with my peers and search for a third place. Adults and parents, you may not know any of the terms I just referred to or even have a presence on these apps, but self-reflect on your social life. What is one thing that you do for yourself amongst all of the chaos? Fred Reiner is a regular at Queen City Bakery. He said, when you walk into the door, the feeling is that you are an individual entity and not a part of the masses. Betsy McIntyre said that her church is her third place. She said, I feel unburdened and connected. My dad, Travis Spier, isn't home on Wednesday nights because he's at his third place, a bowling league that he's been in for as long as I can remember. And trust me, based on their scores, conversation is definitely the main activity. My point is that all of these adults take small increments of their lives to fulfill their need for association. Do you have a place where you feel like Fred said and welcome like Betsy said and welcome like Fred said, and it doesn't distract you, it fills your soul? What is your third place? Stop worrying about emails and Facebook updates and ask yourself, are you letting social media affect the person you want to be and the example you want to set for your children? Now, kids, you're not off the hook. Are you letting social media affect your relationships in the same way? We all joke about iPad kids with sticky fingers and intricate Minecraft worlds, but genuinely, what do you want communication to look like as you age? What memories would you rather tell your children? That one time you made a funny joke in the group chat, or when your friend group laughed so hard Megan Peter Pants and had to go home? I know my answer. One of the first questions I was asked when I presented my idea was, who cares? And the first thing I thought of was myself. When I become a parent, I don't want my children to isolate themselves because that's all they know how to do. I want to be a Subaru mom that should be sponsored by Patagonia and Costco and has more plants on her desk than Wi-Fi bars at the top of her screen. I want to have contact with the people in my life that I appreciate, and I want them to know how much it means to me. I want my kids to be grateful for the wonders this world has given us and exercise their curiosity. I want my kids to love nature so much they go outside, eat a worm, come back in, say, Mommy, look, I brought one for you too. I want my kids to feel the feelings of excitement and communication without technology. World-renowned author Mel Robbins said in an interview, your life comes down to your decisions. And when you change your decisions, you change everything. So all you have to do is decide and reflect on the beauty that comes of it. Reflect on the beauty of a third place.